Hi guys, it's Whisper Audios, and today I would like to show you my favourite films of all time. I have quite a few favourite films and it's really hard to pick a small enough list of films that I like. But how I have chosen this selection is that these are films which I can watch over and over and over again without getting bored or just not liking the film anymore. So that's how I've picked them. I would say that my favourite genre of film would be sci-fi and fantasy and horror. I don't necessarily enjoy chick flicks an awful lot. I think my most favourite a chick flick that I could watch would be something like The Notebook or something like that, but generally I steer clear of those, and I like the big Hollywood blockbuster films and also the nice little niche films as well. So I will just get right down to it and I will show you my most favourite film of all time. This is the one I can watch over and over and over again, never get bored, always laugh at the funny bits and be horrified at the sad bits. So it's Death Becomes Her by Robert Zemeckis. And Robert Zemeckis is one of my favourite directors, and I have another one of his films in my collection here, my favourite films. And for those of you who haven't seen this film, it's basically the premise is that everybody gets old, everybody ages, and these two women, played by Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn, and Bruce Willis in the middle, they don't want to get old and they take a potion that makes them live forever. And the love interest, Bruce Willis here, he's pulled from side to side between these two who are jealous of each other and want him to spite the other one. And it's very sort of tongue-in-cheek humour and very funny in some places and quite dark and sinister in others. And I'll just read you what it says on the back. So, Oscar-winning actress Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn star with Bruce Willis in Robert Zemeckis' outrageously entertaining comedy about greed, vanity, sex, immortality, life and death. Isabella Rossellini is a beautiful enchantress who changes their lives and deaths forever in this hilariously dark comedy and groundbreaking special effects. So that's Death Becomes Her. And my favourite scene in this film is when what's her name? Helen. That's Helen Sharp, and that is Madeline Ashton, I think. I haven't seen it in so long. As when Madeline falls down the stairs and she gets back up. Try not to ruin it, but she says to Ernest, who is her husband at the time, she goes, "Ernest, you pushed me down the stairs." And I just really, really love that scene. And let me know if you like this film, what your favourite scene was, and same for all of these films, what your favourite scene is from them. So that's Death Becomes Her. The next film or collection of films are the Alien films, and you've probably noticed my t-shirt. I really, really love the Alien films. I would say the second one, Aliens, by James Cameron, is my favourite. I like Alien by Ridley Scott, but the second one has more action and I really like that but I like the slow building horror of the first one. Obviously Alien is iconic. It's one of the great classics of our time, and the xenomorph, the face hugger and the chest burster, all of those iconic horror monsters, you know, they're such an integral part of our culture today. The third one, in the prison, I kind of like. I see where they were going with it, but it's not necessarily my favourite. And the fourth one I've completely written off. It doesn't exist in my mind. But I'm really excited for, I think it's Neil Blomkamp, to do his version of Alien. There's a new Alien coming out. They're talking about it, and I'm really excited for that to come out. My favourite scene of the first one is when, oh, there's so many good scenes. I like it when John Hurt, when the chest burst. Oh, I don't want to ruin it for anybody who hasn't seen it, so I'll try not to say my favourite bits because it might ruin it for people. But my favourite character, let's do characters then. Obviously my favourite character would be Ripley, a strong female lead, quite, you know, different for back in the 70s, and she's just very strong and heroic and faces the problems before her with a badass attitude, and that's really more prominent as the films go along. And obviously I love the xenomorph. It's just so scary, and I'm probably still scared of it today. It's probably one of the most scariest film monsters that I know of. So that's Alien. The next film, or collection of films, again, is Jurassic Park. Of course, again a classic film. The first one, outstanding, breathtaking. I'm always a big dinosaur geek as a kid, and I kind of still am. So when I watched Jurassic Park for the first time, I was like, oh my god, I love this film so much. And I love all the characters. I like, my favourite character would be Ian, played by Jeff Goldblum. He's got an ASMR voice. If you watch this and you watch the scene where Ian has the drop of water on, I can't remember her character's name, but the main woman, and he's talking about how, oh, I can't even remember now, just the drop of water on the hand, and he's explaining, that gives me ASMR, that scene, it's brilliant. So, and The Lost World with Julianne Moore, I only like that film because Julianne Moore's in it. She's one of my favourite actresses. And then the third one is the write-off again for me. I'm really skeptical about sequels and things. I generally don't like them, but Jurassic Park, classic. The next film that I like is District 9. A fairly recent, I think 2009 it was. It's Neil Blomkamp, 2009. And it's about, it's really, why I like this a lot is that it takes a problem that is quite proliferant in Johannesburg and the poverty side of it, and it takes those problems and turns it into like a sci-fi kind of a mockumentary kind of a thing. So instead of a poor citizens living in slums, it's actually these aliens who have come down and gotten stuck on the planet because they can't go home, and the people of Johannesburg put them in these little shanty towns, and obviously there's crime and drugs and black market activities, and it's about this guy who goes in and tries to control it in a sense, played by Sholto Copley. I think that's how you say his name. He's a great actor. I really like him, and I just love how something so weird and so really unbelievable, you love the characters and you really root for them and you really believe what's going on, and that the effects in the film are brilliant. Like when I first watched this at the cinema, I was blown away by the special effects and just everything looked so real. So District 9, great. And I cried at the end. I cry on most films, so that's not a surprise for me. The next film is another classic, and that is Girl Interrupted, starring Angelina Jolie and Winona Ryder. So Angie is probably my favourite actress alongside Julianne Moore. She is just so versatile and just gorgeous and just brilliant, and she is absolutely outstanding in this film. So it basically is kind of like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, if you've ever seen that, starring Jack Nicholson. It's basically a female version of that. That's how I see it. So it follows Winona Ryder, and she's admitted to this mental institution where she meets Angelina Jolie's character, and really she's a very bad influence on Winona Ryder, and they do bad things, and it really is like a self-discovery film, you know, exploring the female psychosis and the banter that these women have with each other in this mental institution. It's really good. And also Whoopi Goldberg and Vanessa Redgrave are in this as well, which they're both brilliant actresses. So that's really good. If you like Angie, you'll like that film. The next two go hand in hand, but they are films that stand up by themselves, and that is Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal. These are my most favourite horror films, if you can call them horrors. I guess they're more thriller horrors. I have seen Red Dragon and Hannibal Rising, and I've read all the books, and I love the books and I love the films as well. I think they are very close to each other. So Silence of the Lambs is obviously, and Hannibal are about Clarice Starling, who is an FBI agent. Again, a nice strong female lead. Clarice Starling, when I was little I really wanted to be her, and I even deluded myself in thinking that I could join the FBI and be an FBI agent, and my grandparents bought me back an FBI top when they went to America, and I was so chuffed, and it really felt like I was going to be in the FBI, but obviously that never worked out. But Clarice Starling and obviously Hannibal Lecter, the most famous bad guy of all time. Silence of the Lambs, you've got Buffalo Bill and the crazy cross-dressing Buffalo Bill, which is a very creepy kind of a bad guy, but very deep, very psychological, and I really like that about that. And of course Hannibal, where Hannibal Lecter comes into his own. The music, again Julianne Moore, because a bit of trivia, what's her name? Jodie Foster, of course. Jodie Foster plays Clarice Starling in Silence of the Lambs, but she didn't want to play Clarice Starling in Hannibal Lecter because of where they were taking the storyline. So she opted out and Julianne Moore took her place, and I think Julianne Moore is just brilliant, absolutely brilliant in it. The two, I can't choose my favourite. I think they're both equally as good as each other, and their performances are perfect. And also Gary Oldman is in this, and he plays Mason Verger, who is the creepy guy who wants to get revenge on Hannibal Lecter for disfiguring him. So, and when I found out that was Gary Oldman, I was like, no way. That was just like amazing for me, because he's, again, Gary Oldman, one of the greatest actors of all time in my personal opinion, because he can transform himself, really transform himself, and he's had some really good roles, and he's coming up in another one of my favourite movies. Our next favourite film is Interview with the Vampire, starring Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise. I love Anne Rice. You saw that in my favourite books, and I think that this really captures the essence of the book, as Anne Rice had a great deal of input into the script, so it's quite true to the book. It's very romantic, it's very gothic, it explores history and ideals throughout time, and I really like that. I'm a big history buff and a history fan, and it really captures the beauty of vampirism and, you know, the dark side to it, and there is a very outstanding performance by Kirsten Dunst, who plays the little girl in this, and she is absolutely phenomenal in it. You know, she's probably only about 12-13 years old, but she absolutely kills it. Quite literally. But Antonio Banderas as well is in this, and, you know, Brad Pitt, and all of the cast is just phenomenal, and it's really believable and really seductive, and just a good film. I can watch it forever. That's another one. So the next one is Who Framed Roger Rabbit, another Zemeckis film, and of course my favourite character in this is Jessica Rabbit. Who doesn't love Jessica Rabbit? I mean, come on. As a little girl, I aspired to be like her and have all the amazing assets that she has, and this is just a wacky, crazy film, but it has that element of whodunit, and actually there's quite a deep storyline going through it if you think about it, and basically it's just a really fun film. The characters are really lovable, really likeable, and the baddies are really good. Christopher Lloyd plays the bad guy. He's trying to get rid of Toontown and wipe out all the toons. So it's brilliant, and if you've seen it, you know what I mean. Okay, a couple more coming up, and the next one is Gladiator. It's actually still in its packaging. It's one of those films where you watch it and you love it, and then you get it for Christmas and then you never watch it again. But of course, Gladiator by Ridley Scott, starring Russell Crowe and Joaquin Phoenix. Brilliant portrayal and look into the Roman way of life and the gladiator fights in the big Colosseum. And it follows the character of Maximus Decimus Meridius, yes, who is played by Russell Crowe, and it's very sad and very an unjust kind of film, but it has such a rich history to it, and the production design and the costumes and just cinematography, everything in this film is flawless, and I think it's one of Ridley Scott's best. I think Ridley Scott tends to make very boring films in my opinion, but Gladiator is one of my favourite, and my favourite scene is when Maximus is going up the long corridor and you have Mars, Bringer of War, the music just playing, and it's just so, you feel your heart racing and you feel your fear rising when he's going into that arena to face who knows what, and whatever crazy things Caesar can throw at him, and it just really makes my heart race, and I think that's a really good thing for a film. So that's Gladiator. So another favourite film of mine is The Fifth Element, starring Bruce Willis again, and Gary Oldman again, and Mila Jovovich. The Fifth Element is by Luc Besson, and he's a very, very good director in my opinion. And they wanted to make Fifth Element, but Bruce Willis wasn't available, so they made Leon instead, which is another good film, which I don't think I have. So they made Leon whilst they were waiting for Bruce Willis to become available, and Leon is another one of my favourite films, which I'll talk about maybe in another video. But Fifth Element is set in the year 2257, and it's about this crazy guy who's trying to get power, and it's all very confusing because everything's made up, you know, there's flying cars, and it's about this woman who's going to save the human race from all of darkness, who is Lilo Dallas Montepas. So yeah, it's a pretty zany and wacky kind of a film, but I really like it because it's pure fantasy and sci-fi. So I really like that, and all the performances are brilliant, and my favourite scene is with the diva, the big blue diva with the big tentacles coming up her head and her long blue nails when she's singing the opera, and Mila Jovovich's character Lila Dallas is having a fight whilst that's going on. It's really juxtaposed, and I really love that, especially the diva song, or the diva dance I think it's called, and I've got it on my iPod and I listen to it all the time because it's really cool and it really gets going. So that's my favourite scene of that. And the last film before this video gets way too long, of course, is The Fellowship of the Ring, Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. I love the others, don't get me wrong, but this is my favourite one out of the three. That's because I love the camaraderie and the friendship that is at the beginning of this, and how they, you know, form their friendships and have all their different struggles. And I love Sean Bean. And I had a major crush on Orlando Bloom when this first came out, and I thought he looked like Legolas in real life, and I was so disappointed to find out he didn't have blue eyes and blonde hair, and I was like, oh well, I don't like him anymore. So that's Fellowship of the Ring. And Peter Jackson, again, is one of my favourite directors. I think he did an outstanding bloody job on transferring and translating the books into the films, what they are today. The production design, the camera work, everything about this film is perfection in my eyes. They use practical effects, hardly any CG, apart from Gollum, of course. But it's groundbreaking. They really developed some groundbreaking technology and filmmaking techniques that are used today, and really were pioneered off these films. And if you watch the appendices, which also won lots of awards, it shows you how they made these films, and the length and the amount of effort that these guys went into to make these films is just breathtaking. Words cannot describe it. You can see why Lord of the Rings won so many Oscars, because best films of all time, really. You can't fault them. So that's just a small selection of my favourite films. Video has gone on way too long and it's probably not very relaxing because I get too excited about these things. I'm really passionate about films and talking about films I love as well, and I hope that some of you like these films too. Let me know if you do, and what your favourite characters are from them and what your favourite scenes are, or alternatively let me know what your favourite films are and I'd love to talk to you about them as well. So don't forget to leave me a comment. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.